This current administration is doing nothing but walking into gun stores, mom and pop gun stores, going after the simple little small minor paperwork errors that people are making and trying to shut those gun stores down permanently who've been in existence for decades. And what we're doing is by bringing this lawsuit, we're saying, you know what, you need to stop that. What Congress says this is what you're supposed to do. There are a set of laws there and they should follow those laws, not step outside those boundaries. And so we're trying to put them back in those boundaries and say this is enough. It's impossible for anyone to do what we do and not make any mistakes at all. You get people that walk into the gun store to fill out a 4473, which is the firearms transaction record. There's 100 ways a person can mess up this form, if not more than that. There are 100 different inputs that you actually put on the form. Even customers make mistakes when it comes to their name, their middle name or their first name. They reverse it. On that little box that says county, they put country. That does not mean that that person is going to get handed a firearm and they're not supposed to. They're not a prohibited person. And so their license should not get revoked just for that simple little minor mistake. I'm actually getting phone calls from gun stores all around the country, as far as like Oregon, as close as Houston. You're talking mom and pop gun stores. Grandparents, great-grandparents have owned this store, and all of a sudden now, ATF comes in and inspect them, find a little paperwork error. Maybe they've made the same type of error because they didn't catch it themselves, and they're wanting to shut them down. And this is the only way that I can help them is by filing a lawsuit, kind of being on the offensive instead of the defensive. I think we're assisting all the gun stores in the country in getting the ATF back into the box it need to be put back into. I'm so grateful that I was able to sit down and talk with TPPF. This organization is the one organization that I thought would actually stand up for Texans and stand up for all Americans in the United States and fight the federal government when they're overstepping their bounds.
Your business is going to have technical problems. There's no question about it. Pacific Office Automation is your guy because problem solving is our passion. Every business is unique, no matter how big or how small the problem. From copiers and printers, telephone systems, managed IT, print services, and more, we offer integrated, streamlined office solutions to keep your office humming. With Pacific Office Automation, it's problem solved. Visit pacificoffice.com today to find out more.
Whether it's a typical traffic stop or you're just involved in a use of force incident, encounters with law enforcement can be scary and stressful. In the heat of the moment, you may inadvertently say something you don't mean or make an inconsistent statement. These are red flags for officers, and if they think you're lying or your story doesn't add up, they might arrest you and let the criminal justice system decide your fate. Police officers are trained to get information from you without making the interaction seem like a formal interrogation. But remember, from the moment an officer arrives on scene, everything you say and everything you do will be scrutinized in court. The prosecuting attorney will attempt to use anything and everything against you. So what do you say? You say, I invoke my right to remain silent, and then let your attorney interact with law enforcement on your behalf. One important note though, do not throw common sense out the window. For example, if the intruder's hiding somewhere in your house when the police arrive, or if you saw the perpetrator pitch his weapon into your backyard, quickly tell the police and then stop talking. You might ask, what about my rights? What if the police never read me my Miranda rights? Miranda rights is the common name for a collection of rights contained in the Miranda warnings, given to suspects when they're placed under arrest. The warning comes from a 1966 Supreme Court case, Miranda v. Arizona. In that case, the court held that statements from a custodial interrogation would not be admissible unless proper procedural safeguards were in place to protect the defendant's Fifth Amendment rights. We've all seen these warnings on TV and movies. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to have an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and so on. So do police have to read you your rights? No. It's important to note that officers are not required to read you these rights unless you're in custody and subjected to interrogation. If the police show up to a crime scene and start asking you general questions and you voluntarily tell them everything that happened, those statements can be used against you regardless of the Miranda warnings, because you're not in custody. If you're put in handcuffs, but you say something incriminating on your own without being questioned, those statements can and will be used against you because you're not being interrogated. You're just starting to spout off. This is why it's imperative that you know your rights, and you shouldn't rely on the police to read them to you. Affirmatively invoke your rights. Say, I'm invoking my right to remain silent, and my right to my attorney. Once you do that, the police legally shouldn't continue questioning you without your attorney present. But remember, there's a second part to this equation. After invoking your rights, you must exercise those rights. That means you have to keep your mouth closed. Protect yourself. Don't let the legal system take advantage of you after an incident. And Law Shield members, if you've been involved in a self-defense incident, remember to call the emergency hotline and speak with your independent program attorney.
I'm a U.S. Army veteran with a strong sense of duty and respect for our system of government. After 12 years, I was honorably discharged and decided I would fulfill the American dream of entrepreneurship and open up a gun shop in Austin, Texas. At my shop, I teach people to be law-abiding and how to safely use their firearm. On page 46, going to talk about Penal Code Section 46.02. The day that ban went into effect, I went into my local ATF in Austin and turned over my bump stock because I'm a law-abiding citizen. But I wasn't going down without a legal fight. So that's why I reached out to NCLA.
NCLA is representing Michael Cargill because federal agencies do not have the power to rewrite statutes. Bump stocks are not machine guns. If Congress wants to change the law and ban bump stocks, it certainly can do so. But we can't have the executive branch rewriting a statute and putting people in jail for up to 10 years.
It's a problem because, this government agency has said, you know what, something that is legal is now illegal, and we're going to confiscate it from you, and we're not going to compensate you for it, and you're going to become a criminal.
The goal of our case here is to tell the ATF that they can't get away with this kind of administrative lawmaking. This isn't constitutionally permissible, and this goes against everything that our nation was founded on.
The bump stock ban turned innocent law-abiding citizens into criminals overnight, even though they were compliant with the statute. And that's not right.
This case is not about where you stand on bump stocks. It's about the rule of law. It's about whether an agency can rewrite a statute and turn a law-abiding citizen into a criminal. If the ATF can ban bump stocks, any agency can ban anything.
Austin, Texas, live music capital of the world. Let's praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. All right, so today we have Cody Wilson, the most dangerous individual on the internet, inside the studio, and we're coming to you from Central Texas Gunworks. All right, so I want to talk also about the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the fact that the ATF walked into the gun store, Central Texas Gunworks, and conducted an unannounced surprise inspection. So many of you know that we're actually in a lawsuit in litigation against the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF, and we're suing them because the ATF has decided to walk into mom and pop gun stores, all FFL dealers, Federal Firearms Licensed dealers around the country, and conduct an inspection and do an audit. Well, they're also shutting them down to the fact that the revocations have increased by 500%. So we decided to file a lawsuit. That is Michael Cargill versus the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and the Department of Justice. And so because we're in this little litigation with them, against them, I should say, they decided to walk to the gun store and conduct an inspection unannounced. And that's something they were not supposed to do. So being that we're in this litigation, they should have actually contacted my attorneys and let them know that they were going to walk to the gun store to do the inspection. So this is their response, because we immediately filed paperwork with the court. And so the ATF responded to what we filed, and their response was, the ATF will ensure plaintiff's counsel is notified of all further communications regarding the inspection. At the time the inspection was commenced, the inspecting IOIs were not aware that plaintiff was involved in this pending litigation or represented by counsel. That issue has been remedied, and counsel will be notified of all further communications. So in other words, the ATF says, oopsie, my bad. Hey, our guys didn't know that, you guys were suing us. Everybody in the world knows about the Cargill versus Garland lawsuit. Everyone, knows about all these different lawsuits. All of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that they didn't know this. So we'll see what happens, Go ahead, Cody.
Mike, let's do it like a conversation.
Yeah.
Because, I can hear that, but, I hear you reading, and then everyone else will hear you reading, and then I won't hear it, even though I'm hearing it. So it should be like, Mike, congratulations on winning that bump stock case, first of all. Can I say that?
Absolutely.
I haven't actually
You can say whatever you want to say,
I haven't
Cody.
said that.
It's
actually.
all you.
My dad met you the other day, and I was like, that's
Yeah.
the guy who beat the bumps. My dad was like, oh, shit, I got to meet that guy.
Really?
So, yeah, I did that. But first of all, congrats. Second of all, because I bet people ask this, because I ask myself this all the time, how do you do this? How do you sue these people on your own like this?
Yeah, it's a matter of really reaching out to different groups, different organizations, and trying to get really good attorneys, because you just can't get any attorney that's going to go against the government. You can't get any attorney that's actually going to present, who's prepared to present a case to the U.S. Supreme Court.
No, you can't.
Not everyone can do that. And the U.S. Supreme Court is not going to let any attorney walk in the door.
Yeah, often it's a different team down local than it is up at the court.
That's correct.
You get different teams as you go. You level up.
That's correct.
That's what you do. Is this the same team suing the ATF that you have with the bump stock thing?
No. So these are totally two
team?
different teams that are all together. So with the lawsuit against the ATF for the gun stores, that's going to be Texas Public Policy Foundation, TPPF.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. And then for the bump stock lawsuit, that's NCLA. They're out of D.C.
Yes. Okay. Texas Public Policy. They were in Amici in one of my cases. Yeah. They know what's up.
Oh yeah.
So you geared this suit up against the ATF about the zero tolerance thing. How long ago?
So we filed this suit last year, I believe.
A year ago.
And
And ATF thinks they're just going to roll in,
right,
and inspect you,
right,
unannounced. Because like that paper says, he was due.
Yeah. In defense of the local guys that actually walk in the door, the local agents here, in Austin, they're pretty nice. They're cool. They're okay. You can talk to them. They're very nice. They're very polite and all that good kind of stuff. It's not them you have to worry about. It's really the people, the ones that are in D.C. that we have problems with.
It's not Houston though that came in.
So their leadership is in Houston. That's where they're headquartered out of. But they were actually based in Austin. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something. When I had an FFL, now obviously you're at the center of controversy, but when I had an FFL, they never inspected. And buddy, I had mine longer than 5 years. So you see what I'm saying?
And I've had 3.
You've had 3?
I've had 3.
So I'm just saying, they know when somebody's the subject of a lawsuit.
I know someone's got here in Austin's got has been in the business for 14 years and haven't had one inspection at all.
The whole time?
So hey.
I don't know, but if these people are listening, it's highly curious that you, a successful litigant against the ATF, would receive an unannounced audit from the ATF in the era of Joe Biden's zero tolerance policy. Am I loud enough on this mic? I'm just gonna lean over like this. So
you can take it out of that. Steve.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
The control arm that I had over there was busted, so
it's fine.
It's all good.
I'm just saying, I think people.
That's better.
If you were to read that to me right off the bat, I'd be like, okay, some drama in court. But people don't understand. You're highly targeted.
Because when we talked about this, when I posted this online on social media, people came out and they're like immediately, well, hey, you're supposed to get inspected by the ATF. They're supposed to come in unannounced and all that good kind of stuff. I said, yeah, but what you don't understand is we're in litigation against them. We have 2 lawsuits against the federal government. They're supposed to notify my attorneys before they walk into this door.
As they say, you get the most flack when you're right over the target.
I heard them say that. They do say that.
Do they really?
No, I have heard it said.
Hey, you should know, of all people. You should know.
We were in that Vanderstock case, which we just won, by the way.
Okay.
Right before 4th of July, Judge O'Connor, as he's turning out the lights Friday evening.
Can you give us a quick overview of that?
Do you know about this case?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Vanderstock's a receiver case in Northern District of Texas. Reed O'Connor. So we're suing the ATF. That's FPC and a bunch Polymer 80 and a bunch of people, including my company. We're suing because they're trying to ban receivers and receiver kits.
Yeah, you're on that injunction, right?
They gave me an injunction. They gave Blackhawk and Tactical Machine some other people injunctions, but FPC and everybody's bowling for the nationwide injunction, right? That's the hard thing to get.
Right.
Didn't you get one of those at one point? You got, you're bowling for that nationwide injunction. So we're in there too, trying to shoot our shot. Anyway, we had all applied for or filed for summary judgment, I don't know, like months ago, right? And so right before 4th of July weekend, I'm saying like Friday evening, Judge O'Connor's like, hey, by the way, ATF, you lose. You lose, struck down nationwide, vacated. I don't even have to approach it from the Second Amendment. It says in the statute that you can't regulate it. So, you lose. And that was my little 4th of July present. But all I'm trying to say there is ATF, in my case, Vanderstock, sent me and my attorneys a letter saying, hey, by the way, we're not going to mess with you. We'll let you know if we have any opinions about anything. So I'm simply saying, in my case, I'm not an FFL.
Right,
ATF said, of course we'd let your attorneys know if we change our opinions or want to see, I'm just letting you know, man.
Right.
In case you want to file something else.
Sometimes, I have to, when you're, a little shade darker, you have to be a little careful.
You just pulled the race card out, Mike?
I'm just.
Oh, my God.
But, I think about that a lot, actually. Because, okay, I have like a bad day. I never think, well, is it because I'm white? So you got a whole second layer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Every interaction you have is like, is that because I'm black? And that's hard, man. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness! No.
You're burning like you're.
No, and honestly, in all fairness, they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. They're trying to rattle me just a little bit.
Intimidation.
Exactly. It's on purpose.
Which is illegal, correct? There's a term for that in a court case.
It's not really illegal, but it's like common practice where you're supposed to, as common courtity,
reach out to the lawyer,
reach out to the counsel, say, "Hey, counsel, we're gonna, go ahead and do this, just so you know, blah blah blah." So it was just common courtesy. They didn't do anything illegal, but they just shouldn't have done it.
Now they said that they swear that they didn't know that though.
Didn't know, right?
Yeah, the paper's like
that's bullshit.
All the agents in this area know.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So they're doing something shisty on purpose.
Yeah, they know because when they come by and they're doing like a trace on something, or someone gets denied for some reason, they're conducting an investigation on someone. They talk about it, so they know.
They don't think you're stupid. They know you're stupid.
Exactly.
Put them in a.
Who always says that? You're not
Imagine
wrong though.
A Tarantino sitcom situation. ATF agents are like, okay, where are we going today? Oh, we're gonna go up to Cargill's. We're gonna go to Central Texas Gun Wars. You know anything about that guy? Nah, I don't know anything about that guy. You ever heard of that? Nah, I've never heard of that guy, man. Oh, it's fun.
Like Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, like how could they get here not talking about how you beat the bump stock thing? Right. That's not gonna happen.
Probably talking about that the whole car
yeah,
ride.
Exactly, man.
That we really got to stick it to this black man.
No, I don't know a thing about him. No, I'm just doing my job, man. I just show up and do my job, and whatever they tell me to go, that's where I go.
Gay black Republican gun store owner in liberal Austin, Texas.
Never heard of him.
The fucking ATF. Yeah, never heard of him.
Never ever.
Give me a fucking break, man.
I don't know.
Sorry, Mike.
But when they come in, it's something else. Because they come in, with 3, 4, whatever agents, and they totally stop everything. So they got to do a complete inspection, check serial numbers. They want to check every single gun. So we literally have to pull everything out. Pull the whole list of everything so they can go through everything line by line, exactly what you have inside the store. We had, at the time, we had about 725 items that they actually had to inspect. And so that takes a couple days. So then once you do that, then they want to go through all the different forms, so they had to go to, we've done 13,000 transactions in a year. So they have to go through 13,044 73s.
They did that by hand?
Yeah, so they actually didn't do that because there's just no way. They didn't have enough agents to actually go through 13,000 forms.
So how do they say they did it?
So they picked like a sample from each month, and went that way.
So did you get to watch them audit you? How does that work? You just give them a room?
Okay, so that's the funny part. So if you happen to be in class on Thursday, we do a license carry handgun course on Thursday. So Thursday, I start my class at 8 o'clock in the morning. They come in around 10, and they're in the back row, the classroom. They have the whole back row, and they're doing, their audit of the forms while I'm teaching class.
While you're teaching class.
While I'm teaching class. That's right.
Were you like, I don't mind them?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, by the way, let me
ATF
tell you this.
agents.
Hey, class, let me tell you this story. So you ever heard the bump stock? You ever heard the lawsuit? Yeah, well, you know what? I'm suing the federal government. And by the way, that's them back there in the back row inspecting.
Yeah,
me.
they had never heard of it.
Gonna have to sue him again. Man. So your whole class was like, oh, that's ATF.
Oh, and then the class got totally quiet. They didn't want to ask any questions. And like, come on, guys, don't let them get you. You see me, right? I'm standing up here. I'm like, yeah, don't let them get to you. Don't let them scare you a little bit.
You fresh out, man. Nobody wants to say anything.
Nah, yeah, they were totally quiet. They couldn't wait to jump out here and get to the range then.
Was that day when I saw you on that weekend? ATF was in the room?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. You didn't even know?
No, dude, because I was standing there. I didn't even look inside.
Yeah. So they were here for like good 5 days.
Dang.
Uh-huh. And then they still have one more day to come back. They're still not finished.
You mean like they got like a wild card? They can still
got one more day.
Still come back.
One more day, as we're talking. They will actually watch this and then come back and decide what.
Oh yeah, they're gonna watch this. They will for sure watch.
How do you know how you did?
And they'll say they didn't watch it.
Yeah,
they tell you how you did.
Well, so here's some of the things they found. So we actually had a couple customers spelled Austin wrong. They spelled it incorrectly. We had some customers put like their social security number in the wrong box.
They point that out to you?
Yeah. We had there's a case of a customer had filled out a 4473 to pick up a firearm to take it out, but then decided he wanted to add like a scope or something to his gun. So we're supposed to log it back into gunsmithing, and we failed to log one of them back in. Yeah, so little things like that.
So he just buys a scope.
So like he picked up the gun,
yeah,
and then says, "Hey, I want to add a scope to it." Okay, well then he leaves it with us because he left it with us.
Yeah.
We have to log it back into our gunsmithing book. It's just one of the things that and that happened like once.
Now, how long they been doing gunsmithing? Because I thought in the new rule they got a new gunsmith FFL. But that's different from just logging gunsmithing in the A&D book, right?
Right, because you have your regular your handgun book, you have your long gun book, you have your gunsmithing book.
Is this too much trivia for the people that watch Come and Talk It?
Nah, it's not too much.
No, they like this.
People need to understand there's a lot of paperwork behind the scenes when it comes to an FFL dealer. A lot of everything is on that front end, typing everything in. When the stuff walks into the door, you have to fill in the manufacturer, the make, the model, the serial number, all that stuff. It gets typed into the computer. Because we do everything on the computer. And then that's the front end of the stuff. And that takes the longest. Because people think that when a package walks in the door, they think they can just walk in and come in and just pick up their stuff. It's not that easy. Oh. So you have to actually, wait for us to type all that information in, and then you come in and fill out your information on the computer there, and then we do the background check.
I literally just came in here, last weekend? Mm-hmm. Last weekend, they're like, oh, come pick up your thing. I'm like, okay, great. And it took me 30 minutes.
Right.
To get in and out of here. I did my thing on the laptop.
Right.
And then there was still paperwork.
Right.
He was like double, triple checking.
Right.
There's like a sticker.
That's right.
And it's like, it's been a while since I've done a 4473, but that feels.
But you got to check. Yeah. You got to make sure. Yeah. It's little things that you have to check and make sure, because I'm telling you, if we mess up, boom, shut you down.
Dang, you don't want to mess up with somebody like me. No, I'd be easy, man. That'd be easy for them to pull your card on me, man. You're a wild man for having me in here. You know that?
Why you say that?
I don't know. You're wild, man.
Weren't you on the Forbes most dangerous list?
Whatever.
Was that Wired?
When they make these lists, yeah, dude, they gave me a roundup at the decade. They were like, and here's your top 10 of the decade.
I was just looking that up before you got here, because I remember the first time you came on, I was like, Mike, is this guy on like the FBI watch list? But it was Wired, right? Number 12.
It was Wired, yeah.
No, in 2012. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude. They started messing with me, yeah. But they gave me some kind of top 10 in 2019 or so.
Honorable mention.
Yeah. They're like, and remember, but by then, man, it was just they would name Trump and Putin every year. They were getting like real light in the pants about it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't tell you who's really dangerous.
Right.
Uh-oh, we can't go there yet, though. My bad. I don't want to name anything. So, Mike, why did you want me to come on your first show?
Well, you got a lot of stuff going on, and then you got you have 100%, of something. You got
100%.
100% of something. What is 100%?
Yeah, I know.
What is that?
We just helped these guys set up a company called G100 because now we want to sell 100%.
Okay.
And people are like, well, what are you talking about? Isn't every gun 100%?
Right.
Well, yeah, every gun's 100% when it's a gun. But the whole debate in our space is like inventing things that the ATF doesn't consider guns.
Right.
And selling those things.
That's your industry.
That's
your industry is creating
objects,
items that the ATF does not consider a gun.
That's
that is
right.
what you do.
And it's actually a little screwy. There's a lot of paperwork you got to send into the ATF and be like, hey, ATF, this is not a gun, right?
Right.
Or is this a gun?
Right. Yeah, how do they determine that?
That literally the process is called determination.
Right, that's correct.
You send a letter and you're like, hey, this is a gun, right? And they'll be like, this is or this is not a firearm. And they don't tell you why. So you get to play this fun little game. So the next week you're like, well, ATF, what is this a firearm? Is this new thing that I have?
So are there real defined guidelines for what does determine a yes or no answer?
They say there are. Do you know anything about this?
No, they say there's a guideline, there's a whole little framework and all that kind of stuff, but then it depends on who's in office at the time. They change their mind.
Yeah, there was a guy that sent in a metal water bottle to the ATF and asked if it was a receiver.
Yeah?
And they ended up saying, oh, yeah, it could be.
They said it could be? Yeah. Is this like a meme I'm unaware of? See, really? You'd think I'd know about the water bottle firearm, but I know, Rick Vasquez. You ever meet him?
No.
He's like an expert witness a lot. He used to be at Firearms Technology Branch, so he'll do expert witnessing for people in lawsuits. And he's like, he'll tell you what the goods are. It's like, this is what they're supposed to do. This is how they think about it. So you can get like under the table what they do, but it's still a black box. You send stuff in. Like I've had letters from 5-6 years ago. You never hear back. You just don't hear back
at all.
Not at all.
So it's like contesting an Instagram reel that got. You know what I'm saying? I have a little bit of experience.
It's like Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend's Instagram reels. You just get what you get, And if you're someone like me, you should just expect, they're not going to answer mine, But if you're some guy or whatever, like, okay, maybe they'll answer that. And then we all see what that guy gets, and then we copy what he got. Because sometimes people will share their letter.
So the reason I even mention that, though, is the same, like with social media, when you go and contest, like our Facebook page had 10,000 followers. We used to do the show from Facebook. Yeah. And then we shared a video of Ashley Babbitt at the Capitol. And we were one of the first people to share it. It blew up. And then we got shut down for a week or something like that. But then when we came back, nothing was ever the same. We used to reach... on average, like 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people per video. Yeah. And now we're getting.
Can I tell you? I've never told you this.
If we get even close to 1,000, that's a good day.
Yeah.
We're hitting 100 people.
This is my camera. Can I look in this camera? Which one is me?
The one that's.
This me?
Yeah, that's you.
Facebook has a piece of technology. Check this out. If you're ever going to sue Facebook, check this out. They have a piece of technology called black hole. Have we ever talked about this?
No.
This is real. All right. Some guy came up to me at SHOT Show, won't say who it was, and he was like, sorry, I was the guy in 2014 that black holed your Facebook. And I was like, oh, that's crazy, man. He's like, no, literally, it's called black hole, and we just drag your thing and put it in there, and it's like the deepest shadow ban that Facebook can do.
Okay, that's what we have. Yeah. We're definitely in. We're in a black hole.
You're in a black hole, baby. And until somebody sues, now in Texas, there is a law that lets you sue the social media companies, Mike.
That's racist.
You like litigation.
Hey, Mike, maybe that's racist. You don't put a black man in a black hole.
Black hole.
If you get the right judge, man, they'd get him on a Civil Rights Act stuff for them.
Mike, you smell that? It smells like a lawsuit.
Yeah, damn sure it does. Yeah.
We were trying to sue YouTube at the beginning of the year
right.
for this very stuff because Texas will let you, if you can prove viewpoint discrimination, Texas will allow you to sue a social media company.
I think it's beyond obvious that we've been discriminated.
Dude, you got something here.
I think so.
All right, we'll check that out. Hey, but Cody, you brought some stuff with you. I want to see what you. Show me some stuff.
I brought some stuff.
All right, let me grab one of these.
Is he gonna get handheld on this?
Close up here.
Yeah, what you got?
You want me to tell you why he's getting it?
What is this?
Okay, so here's your normal Glock they pull from the case, right?
Okay.
Your factory parts, your rails and stuff. And these are like, you see how these are separated blocks and rails, different components. We have made a monolithic, what we call a chassis, like in the SIG P320.
I can already tell the differences.
Yeah, this is a steel chassis on the SIG style for the Glock. Glock hasn't done a chassis yet. Maybe they never will. Right. Here, if you're filming this, so you can see this profile. It's pinned in. I'd take it out, but it's pinned in. So you can see that this frame is actually slightly wider through the sides to accommodate this. And so this is a unibody piece, a monolithic piece. It's all milled from steel. And you can make it on a machine, but people are getting so jazzed about it that they just want it. They just want the thing itself. So that people can do like flux, and these people, they can make these modern PDWs and stuff like just from a Glock type chassis. So people are getting real excited about this. So now there's this whole debate about like, well, do we just sell 100s of these? Do we sell 80s of these? Do we sell what I call zeros of these? Right now this came from zero. So I just sell people, a steel block and they mill it on my machine.
And you're in talks with Flux. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we're talking to Flux right now. We're talking to Flux is also ran competitors too, and so we're like playing them against each other.
Yeah, Flux, they make the Raider, which is this really cool chassis for a SIG. It has a pistol brace in the back of it that pops out, and it has a spare mag holder in the front that's not vertical.
Yes. He showed me his Raider. They sent me 2, by the way, in the mail. I don't have them yet, but I want it. And so like they've always been wanting to do a Glock, but no one had like really done it, and they're not an FFL, and you know what I mean? They were kind of waiting on someone to do it. And
so I know yours is like a little heavier.
Yeah, it's a big steel block, yeah. But you can kind of make up for, well, I'm not going to say that. When you put a sight on it, it feels like a Glock. It doesn't feel noticeably different or heavier, I would say. Yeah, okay, a little bit. This is a G19 style. We can conceivably we can do all kinds of sizes and stuff. It is fatter, yeah. And this is an SLS. This is nylon printed. This is kind of rare. This is hard to find in the wild, but we've run 2,000. This is why it's so dirty. We've run like 2,200 rounds through that.
It's real dirty.
But you can tell this is a 3D printed frame. It has not melted. Right. And typically with printed Glocks, which is very popular, you'll find that they melt after a few hundred rounds, or begin to melt. So what we've got here is another thing, right? Because I talked about Vanderstock. So typically, right, like what's the firearm and what you're holding with the Glock? Well, it's the frame, actually.
Right.
In this gun, it's the frame. Maybe should I hold that up? So the firearm is actually the molded plastic, okay? Well, in this Glock, the firearm is actually the chassis, the steel, okay? And this thing that you have here is just printed. It's not regulated. So now, if you print my grip module here in this G0 setup, you're not printing a gun. If you printed this frame, you printed a gun. So now the 3D printing people are kind of pushed in this new direction where, oh, cool, I can customize this, I can sell this.
Because this is the serialized part, right?
Yeah.
And this is not.
We would have, in a commercial version, we have a window here, just like with the SIG, to show that you put the serial on the chassis.
How'd you get away with that?
Because I was a plaintiff in Vanderstock, and I got an injunction against the ATF's frame and receiver rule.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I don't sell any of this commercially, right? I give you the file to print the frame, and I give you a block of metal to mill the chassis.
Right.
So I never sell you anything that's conceivably regulated. You do it all yourself. And there's a big no man's land here, right? Well, we don't know actually what the ATF thinks about at what stage this chassis becomes a firearm. We got to send in that determination letter.
Right.
But I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Let someone else do that.
Someone's going to mess it up.
Someone's going to mess it up.
They always got to poke the bear.
You're right. But here's the thing. In this configuration right now, we both agree it's a gun.
Right.
I never had to sell you a gun, though, for you to get it. And that's my company. That's my business.
Now, could anyone else sell those?
Yeah. I would say people are probably safe to sell. Well, look, I'm not a lawyer, right? I can't do this.
Can't give legal advice.
Like Flux, right?
Here I am, man. Just like Flux. Flux is like, well, we don't sell guns, right? I think you could sell these grip modules all day long because you're not selling a firearm. And I think someone's going to make an 80 of this G0 chassis, and that'll be as popular as. I just got a shipment of 500 of those SIG P320 80%. Have you ever seen those?
Right.
Those are so popular.
At what point does it turn into a gun?
That's up to the ATF to tell us. It's up to the ATF and God to tell us. Do you know what I mean? Only God and the ATF know when it's a. But I would say I can give it to you before it's a gun, and when you have it and it shoots a bullet, you know it is one.
You know it is gun then,
and it doesn't really matter.
So I'm trying to figure out at what point do I get? Where do I get to where I'm like, okay, now this is a firearm?
I would say this is a firearm. Like it's a finished chassis.
It's not a firearm.
Well, hold on. You're looking at a firearm.
That's not a firearm.
You don't think this is a firearm?
It's not a firearm.
Sure, it looks like it expelled a bunch of projectiles.
Do I have to fill out a form for that?
Well, if you were going to transfer this once it's finished, yeah, you would. Yeah, I mean,
in that form right there.
And this,
I consider a firearm. Do I have to fill out a 4473?
Now I see what you're saying because there's no slide. Right. Because there's no slide. I would say there's a finished.
This you have to fill out a 4473 for.
Yeah, I would say you would.
This is serialized.
Especially because we're in your shop and you're an FFL, you're going to have to fill out a 4473. Now, maybe someone else can get away with it, but I would say the finished firearm exists here, absent the slide. And so Very likely, if money changed hands, a firearm transaction was made.
What about just that fire control unit out of your 0?
I would say my guess is the finished fire control unit here is the firearm.
Yeah, like with the SIG.
Yeah, I would guess like
because the SIG is a fire control unit very similar to yours, right? So that's like a SIG and a Glock had a baby.
Exactly. We SIG. When I told James Reeves of TFB that we SIG'd your Glock, so the Glock sits in the shell of a Glock. It looks like a Glock from the outside, but the actual Glock is now this mutant thing that's more like a SIG.
Right.
Just threw that pin. So.
And you did this with the AR also, right?
We did this with the AR. It was a little easier to understand on the AR.
Right.
Because we just took the receiver that everyone's familiar with. And
Correct.
We just milled it from a block of metal.
But it's 3 pieces, right?
That's true.
You didn't bring anything with you, did you?
I did not bring it. I should have brought that.
I really want you to break that down for me and show me.
You wanted me to bring it?
Yeah.
That's why you got to bring me back.
Okay. Yeah, because we got to talk about that. Because how do you get? What is 100% AR?
100% AR is just the AR like you got on the wall, man. I don't know. That's 100%. You know.
Cody's got the 0%.
But the idea is, I got a 0% AR.
Then how you get a 0%?
I think you can do 0 just like here. You see printing. So some parts of your AR receiver can be printed. All parts can be milled. I did this kind of quasi-commercial thing where I cut up the AR receiver into 3 parts.
Right.
And then I say, well, you know how it's called a lower receiver, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, well, then this is the upper lower. And this is the lower lower.
So it's got like a buffer tube that you can sell that's already made, and then a magwell kind of trigger guard.
We split it up into 3 parts because if you've got a big old block, you're going to be cutting a long time on it.
You did what one of my favorite attorneys does. He goes to court and he says, you know what, when I want to win something, I'll confuse everybody. I'll confuse the judge. I'll confuse the opposing counsel. Yeah. And I'll just go in there and mess it up so bad that they just have to, do a continuance. And,
that's funny.
That way I have more time to get it together.
You baffle them with bullshit is what you do. Well, I some of it's kind of easy to me, but that's because I've been living in it so long. So your users, I don't know. But like 80%'s got so familiar with it.
But I'm still stuck. What is a 0% though? I'm still stuck.
Here's what we did. We take the reference 0%. Of 80%. Everyone's like, 80% receiver. Because that became very popular. Right. Polymer 80, all this stuff.
It's not cut out.
80%. People get roughly, it means, it's almost a gun.
Right.
But it's not quite. I got to do the work. I got to do some of the work to finish it.
Correct.
Okay, so we take 80, we back it all the way up. What does 0 mean then? Well, it's kind of a joke. It means it's a block of metal.
Okay.
Or a block of plastic.
Right.
It's something that
something's not filled out.
Isn't in any way on its way to being a gun yet.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way you could call a rectangular block of metal a firearm.
Right.
And look, I didn't do this because I'm autistic and retarded. How
can you take a complete gun and say this is 0%?
Well, that's kind of a legal joke because the ATF started under Biden trying to regulate 80% receivers. They're like, well, we can do this. We can regulate kits. They took that definition of partially completed that they had in the regs, or readily convertible, if you remember that one. Mm-hmm. That's big in my industry, readily convertible. And they're like, everything's readily convertible if we say so. If it looks like, if it's especially attractive, it's readily convertible.
Right.
And so we were like, you know what? 0% would mean something that is not in any arguable sense readily convertible. It is the most unreadily convertible thing. Mm-hmm. So the joke is take it all the way back to a block. And then when they did their regs, the regs that we sued about in Vanderstock, one saying they could regulate receivers.
Correct.
They themselves said, well, of course, we're the ATF, we're reasonable. We don't regulate blocks of metal and stuff like that. Okay. So we go, there, blocks of metal. These are now 0% receivers. Okay. That's it. That's the argument.
Yeah, and you have that buffer tube piece that's already made just as it should be, and then a lower, you call it.
You can make that buffer tube piece too, though, on the machine. Mike, if you'd sell more of my machines on this countertop, you would know that too.
Yeah, I have one of your machines on the countertop.
You got that's an old one.
That's an old one. I need a new one.
Yeah, and then you take that block, and your machine mills that block into the upper lower, right? Yeah. Or the lower upper?
We call it the
upper lower.
Upper lower.
Yeah, and then you basically bolt all 3 of those parts together, and then you have a fully functioning AR lower receiver.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Yeah, because I like to see that.
I'm trying to sell this one. I sold that other one for a year. I'm trying to sell this one now.
All right, got something new. All right,
because this is the thing. I just released this a month ago.
Right.
Oh, I can't wait till Flux makes one of those.
Dude,
chassis.
and they're gonna.
That would be so cool.
And I'm already seeing people print this and remix this because now this is unregulated. People traffic in this one. I don't know. People are excited about this. This got a long tail, I think. But maybe Glock will sue me like they sue Polymer 80.
Yeah, I'm a convicted felon, so I should be able to do that.
I mean, your legal status doesn't affect your capacity, your knowledge.
No, it doesn't.
You
But
know,
it affects whether or not you can have it or not, or how you can obtain it.
I suppose it affects how you obtain it.
Definitely how you obtain it.
You know, but really, doesn't attitude affect everything more than legal status? So, I don't know. I would say you probably should.
See, someone's gonna call me after the show. And
Who's gonna call you?
You know, they're gonna say, "Hey, okay, Mike. So how can I get one of those?"
You go to ghostguns.com. All right, you go to ghostgunner.net.
Right.
Increasingly, you're going to be going everywhere. I hear PSA's working on something like this now.
Really?
I think it was just a matter of time before. Okay, a new type of Glock. It's chassis based. You know, and that'll be easy to just traffic.
Yeah, they're always.
the chassis.
Oh well, PSA. They're always putting out stuff of their own.
Dude, I know.
They do a lot
Really
of
impressive.
Yeah, they really do.
If I could have,
I've actually been in their facility. You know, out there. It's actually.
Have you?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
They
do a lot.
my dream. They started like a bank and stuff.
Right.
Do you know about this?
Right.
They started an insurance company. That's all the stuff I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just want to do that kind of stuff.
They own that whole area. That whole area is all Palmetto State Armory.
UPS told me they're the second or first biggest UPS customer in the state.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
I've had quite a few shipments from
I
that.
mean, me too. I just resell this stuff. Man. They yeah, man, that's a lot of boxes.
And they're actually pretty cool. I've actually talked to the owner quite a few times, you know, over the phone. They didn't realize I was talking to the owner.
Oh, you didn't realize?
No, yeah.
Because he just gets on the phone.
Yeah. She
just gets on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the owner, man. They keep me down.
One of the owners, yeah.
You know how I am. I'm a very controversial figure. So most companies keep me, they keep a buffer between me and management.
Why they don't want to talk to
Well,
you?
they just want to make sure they
People
said
are afraid to talk to
They
you.
want to make sure they said it wasn't them that talked to me.
Really?
It's always some viceroy that's talking to me. You know?
Yeah.
Some sales executive that's always
That's
handling
because you
me.
intimidate people.
You think I intimidate people?
Yes, you do.
I'm just trying to do business.
That's because you have.
I think Michael's projecting.
The way I explain it, that's like, it's like what's Cody like? Well, Cody's like one of the smartest people I know.
No.
And he's like people smart, and he's common sense. He has common sense and people smarts. And so you can talk to him on different levels. I can just be dumb, dumb as a box of rocks, and talk to Cody. He'll explain to me. I can be real smart.
You,
and talk
Michael?
to him, explain to me.
Dumb as a box of rocks?
You know what?
Mike came to my first speech I ever gave in Austin, Texas. You remember this?
Yes.
I gave this speech.
I think so.
This was a long time ago, man. It's like 10 years ago.
What group was it for?
It was like Longhorn Libertarians. I think Mike was the
Oh, yeah.
sponsor
Okay,
of
yeah.
the Longhorn Libertarians.
Right, yeah.
He's not just a gun owner and a gun store manager. He's a civic. What are you? You're a sponsor of the civically minded.
He's a public. He's a kind
Public
of a public figure.
He's
yeah.
a public figure.
I'm a public figure.
But it's
news,
more.
It's news personality.
It's more than being
Educator.
public. He was helping other people become public figures.
Helping them grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came to my speech. He gave me, and he told me, he invited me here, and he told me about the world of guns in Austin.
That's right. Okay, now it's all coming back to me. That's
That was
right.
our introduction,
That
Mike.
was how we met, because
That's
then
how we
we came here. We said, because I had that office at the time, and we talked about the FFL.
Yes.
You getting your FFL, you getting your SOT, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we talked.
You
about
had this guy that worked for, now he works for Texas Rifle Association, I think. I forget his name. And I came in here talking about, I'm going to 3D print a gun. And that hadn't been done yet.
They didn't want anything to do with that.
That hadn't been done
TSRA.
yet. And that guy thought I was so full of shit. Maybe I was full of shit. I don't know.
I remember talking, because I remember we made jokes about the fact that I made a joke to you, and you actually put in your book. He's like, yeah, walk out of here, if your car don't start initially when you turn the key, you might want to jump out and run.
Oh, now we're walking down memory lane together, Mike.
Why did the guy think
That's all
that
coming back.
you were crazy to 3D print a gun? How is that far-fetched?
Dude, he didn't even think I was crazy. He just thought,
yeah.
He just thought I was trying to rip off Mike or something.
Yeah.
Because he's like, here, Mike, and he took you to cncguns.com. He's like, it's already been done. That's what he was saying.
Right.
He was like, this guy ain't doing anything. It's already been done.
Yeah, some people just can't see the future. They have a hard time, seeing past, I guess, what they it's hard to introduce to people to like new things sometimes.
I get that. That was the biggest thing, because now every time like an event happens,
You remember that.
people look back and they say, well, of course it was going to happen. But before I had printed the gun, all of gun culture on the internet was like, this is fake. This is not going to happen. This guy is just asking for your money. He's scamming you.
So it was against all odds, huh?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, sure. I don't know. But for me, I was like, well, this seems easy and like achievable. And everyone's like, this is fake. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I also am a person who's had a bunch of crazy ideas that people thought were stupid and ended up kind of working out.
I mean, dude, printing a gun probably is stupid, right? Like, it's not a great idea even now.
Well, on its face, before it was ever done, I guess I can understand how someone whose brain vibrates a little bit lower might be like, well, that's crazy.
Yeah, why would you? Gun people are like, why would I do that?
Coveralls on his farm and on his ranch.
That was again what I got here too. This guy was like, first of all, okay, you can already make a gun. Like, what
was he older?
No, dude.
No. This young guy.
Really?
I don't want to say the name, but no.
We don't do names, but that's interesting to me. That's not what I was picturing. I guess I'm prejudiced against old
young guy, and
boomers.
now probably he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, man," you know. But again, I probably look like a fucking crazy, and I didn't know anything about guns.
No, it was somebody who was very protective of me, and they're like, I don't think you should get involved in this. We got too much going on right now.
He was right.
So
he was right.
It was one of those things, one of those conversations like that.
Well, he was because
and I with me, I listen to everything, but I still make my own decisions.
I didn't realize this was somebody that knew you.
Yeah.
I missed that part.
Yeah,
he was working here. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, what was that? I think the idea, and it was crazy. It was like, Mike, I don't really have a place to set up a 3D printer. Would you let me set up a 3D printer in the back of your gun store?
And I was like, yeah, sure.
And Wait, what?
That was our conversation that we were having.
The gun was going to be printed here.
We were gonna do the 3D printed machine. We were gonna set it up right here in that back room. That's right.
Mike was like,
but it didn't go through.
Well, his homeboy was like,
no, I think the machine it would have been too big. It was not enough space.
It was a big machine.
Yeah, it was a big machine.
Yeah,
we just didn't have enough room.
But dude, I mean, after that meeting,
you probably
it was clear.
fired that guy then, right?
No, I think he moved on at one point.
No, he's still here.
Oh, he's still here.
Yeah,
he still works here.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
You want me to fire him?
Anyway, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you who it is. People that are in my inner circle stay in my inner circle for a long time.
I didn't know he still worked here, man.
Yeah. We're just bashing an employee.
God damn, I didn't know. No,
we're not. Years ago, hey, we're having a conversation. We're not bashing anybody, and the truth is the truth. The truth will set you free.
The truth is, you know what? But Mike, if I was working for you, I'd have said the same thing. I'm like, why are you letting this guy
the
in
truth
here?
is the truth.
We don't need to do this. This ain't gonna make us any money. It's just gonna get us in trouble.
Right. And that was the deal.
Yeah,
that was the deal. That was the essence of the conversation.
That's a good point.
I feel that. Like,
well,
why are we doing this?
Yeah. That was the conversation right there. This is not going to do us any good. We cannot benefit from this whatsoever.
Yeah.
Only thing that's going to come from this is negative.
Yeah, exactly.
Had you already sued the ATF at this point?
So this is years ago.
This is like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
for
this
real.
is a long time.
So
ago.
if you would have been suing the ATF, you probably would have been more inclined to say, "Fuck it, bring the printer in here," because you're already in this shit with them anyway, right? Or is that not your thought process?
I think the only thing that really slowed things down is where we're just in the process of getting the SOT. We hadn't gotten the SOT, all the way just yet. So we're still in the process of getting, of that stuff actually arriving, I think.
Dude, that's right. One day
SOT was like literally days away from getting it.
Yeah, one day you brought me by and you were like, "Hey, check it out," and you pointed out to me.
Right.
Because you just got your SOT.
Right.
Well, long story short, I got the FFL, whatever. I did it myself. Right. A little closet downtown. Deeply closeted individual, and...
well, you're friends with Michael, so it's not that
Anyway, thank you, Mike. I did write down, I have no axe to grind. If your guy sees this, it's like, and there's really no hard feelings.
It doesn't matter anyway, but
I totally get it.
These are things that actually make us stronger. This is how we get to where we are today. Learning these things, turning, making that left turn, going up that hill, around that corner, dealing with this person, that person. It just makes you stronger.
And he was so right. I got in so much trouble when I did
that's
that.
also...
I got in so much fucking trouble, man.
I want to clarify what I said as well. I thought it was a customer. I was picturing a customer or somebody in class that was like, "This guy's crazy." That's what I was picturing.
No.
But if it's somebody that's working here and they have a vested interest in what's going on, it is a different situation.
You don't tell customers what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Oh, damn. Well, dude, we've done all kinds of stuff since then, man. I've been down in that Onion Creek shooting range, which is now what, gone and sold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gone.
That
place was badass.
That place is incredible.
It was my favorite place to go.
Elemental.
Yeah.
Atavist Ancient.
There's
That place is like a haunted burial ground now.
Really?
Just so full of lead. They're going to make a development on it.
Yeah, what are they going to do?
I would be scared
Dead
to
spirits?
live.
You know what they're doing? Are they going to build? Are they
There will be
apartments?
after the kids go play in the dirt and then they get lead poisoning. Yeah.
Lead,
right?
spirits, everything's
How many
out there.
millions of rounds do you think are just buried?
Yeah.
All lead.
And spirits.
I miss that.
I'm gonna say that again.
Did you ever go up to Best of the West?
Is this Choctaw territory?
Mm-hmm. Did you ever go to Best of the West up in Liberty Hill?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The same thing. It was another thing.
Remember they had when we had the festival they used to have there once a year?
Yeah. The T-Tag guys.
Yeah.
But then when they sold Best of the West, that's when I was like, man, Things are over.
Hey, I want to go back on something. You said that the libertarians at UT, you were giving a speech there.
Yeah.
I have a sort of funny anecdote to go with that. When I first met Mike, I was in the J school at UT, and I was doing a mini doc. I had to pick a diversity story, and I was probably the only conservative libertarian-leaning person in the whole
We did at
J
UT
school.
also, right?
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, well, how do I do a diversity story but still make it something I want to do?
Yeah.
This guy, I was interning at TPPF at the time.
Okay.
And this dude, Harold Holdridge from San Marcos, he was like, Gary, you're crazy, and you got to meet this guy, Michael Cargill, because he's crazy. You guys will get along. And I was like, all right, cool. So we met up. We took some shots. We shot the shit, and he's like, yeah, let's do this documentary, right? Like a couple weeks later, I had to do another story, and I had to get a source that sort of disagreed with guns. It was another firearm story. And I reached out to this girl from Cox Not Glocks.
Dude, you remember that?
I knew you guys would like this. She was all down to be interviewed, answered a handful of questions, and then the minute that she said, who else are you asking about this? I said, Michael Cargill, and she freaked out. Yes. She freaked out, and she's like, he's a terrible person. I mean, ran his name through the dirt. Like, and I have never had another experience ever, with the exception of, unfortunately, one of the serial killer victims' families kind of flipped out on me about the way that I worded something, which was a misunderstanding. And in that situation, it was a total misunderstanding. So somebody got upset. Yeah. So even then, even the only other time I've ever had somebody flip out, it was a misunderstanding. It was a mistake. We broke bread. The Cox Not Glocks girl stuck to her fucking guns, no pun intended. And then after the story ran, she never talked to me again.
Stuck to her cocks.
She stuck to her cocks.
Stuck to those cocks, man. They would. I'm telling you, they would actually send me. They'll send me letters to my house, postcards and stuff like that.
I saw one of the postcards where it shows somebody with their head blown off or something.
Yeah, gunshot wound victim shot in the face.
Is this because you were throwing them shade while they were popping off?
Because I don't back down. You know, I'm very consistent in everything, and I continue to. I'm just gonna nail it straight down, hit the nail on the head every single time.
Can I ask you because I have some memories of this time, and you can tell me whether this is accurate or not.
Sure.
I remember you being the guy trying to get Carrie on campus.
Yes, Campus Carrie.
That's correct.
That was him.
Right, Campus Carrie, right.
And this was
because that was related to the Cox.
That's
right.
Well,
it was like he actually you got some progress on it, and then that's why that popped off or something, right?
Correct.
Because they tried to sabotage.
Right. There's like Cox Not Glocks, right.
That's why she knew, because you had actually made some moment of progress
Correct.
or something?
Yeah, dude, you know, it's crazy how, even just in the 4.5, 5 years I've known you, how many stories we've broke. The serial killer thing in Austin was us.
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah.
You actually broke that.
Dusterhoff, too.
Dusterhoff, which I've been advised by the internet, man.
What, not to mention that story?
Yeah, I'm not even going to say the name of the guy who told me not to talk about it, but if I see him, I'm going to fight him on site.
I'm telling you, it's
the merchandise.
We
really... It's a little inside baseball for everybody watching.
I mean, that Dusterhoff stuff, I mean,
It got you kicked off FM radio.
Got me kicked off the radio. We actually totally destroyed that police department. I mean, they got rid of a lot of people.
Yeah, but
that changed APD.
The fact of the matter is, though, is that we've pretty much are hitting 1,000 on this stuff, man.
And the funny part is, all these other groups that come up, they protest, they do all this other stuff, and they get no progress whatsoever. Here's another funny story. Back when we were doing the Campus Carry stuff, there was a guy that came out, John Woods. You remember John Woods?
I know the name.
John Woods. He would come out, and he went to Virginia Tech.
Okay.
When they had the Virginia Tech shooting.
In the shooting.
He was a student there.
All right.
And so he came out of Virginia Tech. He came to University of Texas, became a grad student at University of Texas, and we tried to get Campus Carry pass. He's like, no way. I went to Virginia Tech. I was there doing the shooting and da-da-da-da and all this stuff. Guns are bad. We shouldn't have guns on campus.
As a grad
And I'm going to make sure, we would never, ever have guns on campus and all this stuff. Remember this guy? John Woods.
Vaguely.
All right. So guess where John Woods is today?
Harvard.
I don't know. He is now.
He's not
apparently had his surgery. And
no!
And he is now a she.
He's Jamela Woods.
Jamela Woods. Yeah.
That implies some racial transition.
Yeah. I'm like, really?
Makes sense.
Totally. I'm just floored.
John transition
is now a female.
Well, let's go with Jill. Let's go
Jill
with
Woods.
Jill Woods. That's right.
Is it Jill Woods?
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
How'd you know that? How'd you find that out?
Oh, it's a long story, but yeah, now a female.
Freud actually would say this is in some the Minute Hour. I think I read.
I've always said, these people they're
Mike.
nothing but pedophiles. They're nothing but people that
In the mic.
that are jumping on same sex, whatever, opposite sex, whatever, taking advantage of people, and that's why they don't want you to have a gun. And this proves the point.
We discount the libidinal purpose and motivations of some of these.
What were you going to say about Freud?
Well, no. To Mike's point, Freud actually made some observations in some of his journals. I picked this up in a secondhand source about how you noticed that the people who reacted dramatically to firearms were always young women having like a hysterical reaction, which was somehow related to the father and like the fear of the penis. And
penis
for real,
envy.
he actually made this connection. Not the penis envy thing, but in fact the fear of the phallic authoritative object. And I don't want to, I'm not big into analysis, but I'm just saying that's in Freud's notes.
Well, he said fear of weapons is a sign of some form of mental retardation to a degree.
This is,
and I don't mean mentally challenged. I mean you're retarding your progress mentally.
Yeah, there's
your growth.
There's a precise hysterical diagnosis that he would give. Like fear of weapons is actually like fear of the father, and like you're in this kind of.
Well, you notice that now Freud is being discredited and not taught in many universities because I think that maybe he's associated with right-wing politics for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
Well, on a long enough timeline, aren't we all going to be,
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, if somebody walked in here right now and looked at all four of us, they'd go, 4 right-wing extremists. Yeah. That's what they would say.
Here's the biggest white supremacist in the building.
Yeah, if they only knew.
Exactly. No. So that girl with the cocks not glocks, right? Talk about your Freudian moment. I mean, god damn.
Right.
And that's pure projection at that point.
These girls were what? Just walking around with dildos like strung to their bags.
Big old black dildos.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah. And not only that's what I was just gonna say.
Big old black
not
dildos.
Only was it cocks, not glocks, and dildos? Most of them were big black dildos.
They were
big. And he's a black man.
Exactly.
Like the whole thing was a completely in opposition.
Like a voodoo totemized.
And just to get back at them, just to poke them just a little bit more, if you look up a bunch of those little sayings that they were using, and you put them in a domain, they go back to Central Texas Gunworks. Because I bought the domains.
You know what you are? You're such a
just to irritate them,
bitch.
But they
just to irritate them just a little bit.
I mean, they set you back though, right? Do you feel like they set you back a year or two on that one?
No, because by the time they were actually at the point where they were cocks, not glocks, this was actually going into effect.
It was in reaction to it happening.
Yeah, it was already going. It was already happening. There's nothing to do. They're like gun free UT. Cocks, not glocks.
That's
too
why
late.
it happened.
Yeah, it was too late.
Because they couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was their reaction. They were sore losers essentially.
Yeah, they missed out. They should have done that a year sooner.
They love complaining. Yeah, it's just like it's more convenient to have been oppressed by an authoritative. Oh, now they force guns. I get that.
Hey, let's talk about the other side of things though. What about that guy who came in that one time and did he call you or did he come in and he started praying over you? He said, "Bless Michael Cargill, bless Alex Jones."
Oh, he
came
in.
He came in. See, He called me. No joke. This same guy called me while I was taking a shit at Home Depot and started praying for me over the phone.
This guy get your number.
I don't even know. But what happened? Because I interviewed that guy at the Capitol when they did the Open in America
It's easy
rally.
for them to find me, because we're right here. Yeah, everyone knows where we're located.
Central Texas,
right?
Gunworks.
And they will show up, and I'm telling you, it's just, I just saw you on Alex Jones, and first of all, can you give this to Alex Jones for me? And then and let me pray
give what?
Whatever,
like a letter,
just
something?
whatever, a book, a letter, whatever, and I'm just like, it's crazy.
He'll come in right here.
Oh yeah, right here.
And what did he say though? What did he say?
I
Because I don't
remember
what he said to me.
I get so many crazies.
Yeah.
Look, I can't help but ask because that guy Woods became a woman, right? You're like, where is he now? So where's that girl now? Is she Harvard?
I don't know. She was a really, really weird and really like
she was like a proto David Hogg figure to me.
Yeah, she was just weird and cringy, and I remembered being that was back when I was still trying to do.
Where is she now? She's got a gun. I know that.
You think she does?
Oh yes,
you think she does?
She carries a gun
for her security.
Yeah, absolutely.
She that was back when I was still trying to do like more neutral journalism.
Yeah.
And before I realized really how things
You're
really
actually
are.
trying to be, you're trying to be like, okay, I'm
Because I was still in
trying to be
college.
legit here. Yeah.
Doing what they were teaching you.
And then there were so many different times. By the time I got out of the J school,
Yeah.
and I saw how fucking completely full of shit the news is,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I got a choice here. I either go with Cargill and I produce his show and I report for him, or I go get a real fucking job. Real job.
A real fake
you get what I'm
job?
saying?
No.
A real fake job.
Real fake job.
And I was like, fuck that. I could make a salary and be comfortable and not have to work all that much, but I don't get the creative freedom, and I'm not doing anything that's worth a shit. You know, and it's boring. We get to do a lot of cool, fun stuff, and we're pretty fucking honest. And not to mention, Michael's had. I mean, we used to have a lot more people who disagreed with us on the show.
Oh yeah, it was like a debate show.
We had protesters on. We had anti-gun people on, but over time, I think that
probably COVID cleaned all that up. Yeah.
Why do you think we haven't had as many people haven't wanted to come on anymore that disagree with us? I don't really know what that is. What that's about.
What do you think? What would you say?
Well, I found that everyone that came on that was pro gun control, anti-gun, had zero knowledge of laws and firearms. Literally none. They didn't know the laws already on the books. They didn't know anything. They just had this emotional reaction against guns, and that was their tactic. You know, that was their whole plan.
Do you remember that guy with the red hair? He's actually kind of a buddy of mine. So no offense.
Was
to
he
this.
like in the protest?
One of the protesters?
Okay, yeah.
And he was trying to say, if these people are being oppressed, then and their only form of civil disobedience is to burn down a shop, then so be it. And Michael goes, "I'll put 40 rounds through your fucking head."
He's literally trying to justify why they should be burning down businesses. He was trying to justify that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, his argument made no sense.
Well, no, it's a pro version of there's a high-end theory from the left says divine violence, like let the mob do what it wants because it's inspired by
who
ancient
wrote
history.
Civil Disobedience?
Civil Disobedience?
Thoreau?
You talking about Thoreau?
Yeah. So that book gets taken completely out of context by every far left protester that's in existence. They say civil disobedience. We need to. That's our right. That's our. But you're taking it to this point where you're not even disobeying the government anymore. You're burning down private fucking businesses. How does that make any sense?
Thoreau's whole running commentary is like, don't pay your parking ticket and sit in jail as a message. Like it's nothing at all like violence and burning down a business.
No, I know, but that's I think that was something that he mentioned to me either before the show or after the show, and I remember being like, dude,
he was trying to incite Thoreau or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, and because that's
this guy.
That's a fucking a book that I hear repeated a lot all the time from people that are sort of the pseudo-socialist protesters, and they're always the people who are in college, who grew up with money, who had a nice life. It's always the same thing. They got no real purpose, so they grab onto something that they think is giving their life meaning. Because they don't have anything. And not to mention that the schools really do brainwash the shit out of these people.
Yeah, like they think like their professor told them it's Thoreau, but actually it's just some European import.
Right.
It's just some bullshit communism or whatever that's like warmed over from the 70s, and they think it's Thoreau. You know what I mean? Because they're
warmed over from the 70s. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, that's how that shit is, man. Sorry.
Oh, what?
I don't know. I just feel like we're talking about, what?
Well, it all goes back to guns anyway, though. I mean, and the reason we brought up that protest was because that was one of the last times I remember having somebody on that really like adamantly disagreed with us.
They won't come on the show.
Mike, pull
anymore.
that microphone.
Yeah, they won't come on this show anymore. They'll just
What about like your angry
sit there on
Facebook
social media
commenters? Would you at least get them in the chat or something?
No.
Well, not on Facebook.
People that totally dislike you, that really hate you, will not walk into these doors right here.
Yeah.
They'll stick on and hide behind a fake account on social media, but they never show up and do anything.
Yeah. Well, and I was just gonna say that you mentioned the pandemic. I wonder if there was some sort of like if people got pushed further into their own little bubbles on social media during the pandemic because nobody was doing anything else and interacting, so that I wonder maybe if people got pushed so far into their own bubbles that they're not even interested in interacting with things they disagree with anymore. That could be potentially something too. But like I said, though, we haven't had a lot of people come on after that. Maybe we just stopped giving a damn. I don't know.
Well, you did get black holed, as we mentioned.
Dude,
how would they know to protest?
that was during the January 6th.
Now, what do you? So after this, what do you have that you're working on?
See, that's the thing, man. Everybody always does it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait until you do this next thing." Well, goddamn, man, I just put this one out. I'm trying to sell this.
You're trying to sell this first.
Mike, what are you doing after you're done suing the ATF?
I want to know what you're working on
It's
next.
took me like a year, man. No, I know. People are like, "Well, wake me up when it does this," and then I'll do that thing, and then they'll be like, "Well, wake me up when it does the next thing." I'm like, "God damn!"
Can I build that with my Ghost Gunner?
Yeah, it's come Ghost Gunner 3. Do this out of steel.
When am I gonna get my Ghost Gunner 3 here?
Man, whenever you want. I'll bring it to you this week.
Bring it to me. All right, good.
You know, I was thinking about protesting because like times people tell me, "Oh, you guys are like the most hated," but like no matter how bad it got, no matter how bad we blew up in the news, no one's ever come to my shop
And said anything.
and protested.
Right,
or said anything.
right.
Ever.
I know. Yeah.
10 years, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah.
I think that does mean.
It says a lot.
Yeah.
It says a lot. You know, they talk a good game, but they're not really. They don't really fight the good game. There's so many people that have these different little shows, all around the country here, and I find it funny that we're like the only ones that are actually taking it to the man, sticking to the man in court. Going against the government in court, actually making a real change, in court where change is actually made, not just allowing, just not sit back and talking about it.
I got to say, man, ever since I've been here, your name's been on people's mouths, like your name's been in the news. Ever since I've been here, you've been doing gun stuff, not just local, national, right? You're always doing it. And I thought at first, like, oh, this guy's got a fight. It's personal, but it's like, no, it's part of your, like you were saying here, it's part of your business.
Right.
It's part of the envelope of what you do.
Right.
Yeah, you serve the community, you teach, but it's also, like Samuel Adams would say, the duty of the irate, tireless minorities, literal minorities in your case, to also take it to the authority.
Right.
Literally. I think you're a whole civic being.
Yeah.
Mike Cargill.
You really are. It's
You know what I mean?
actually pretty insane.
Yeah, I actually met Michael before I actually met Michael. Since y'all already told your stories of how you guys met Michael.
Story.
So rewind back to my childhood, grew up in the suburbs. Parents never had guns, never felt they needed them. We had a BB gun, kind of played with that a little bit, but I shot my dad's office window out one night. And so that was taken away. So needless to say, never had a gun in the house, never was, taught gun safety or anything by my parents. Went off to college, still no experience with guns. I'm kind of like, I don't want to say I'm afraid of them, but I'm just not knowledgeable about guns whatsoever until I'm about 30 years old. And then...
When were you at Texas Tech? What year was that?
Ooh, that was 2001.
See, I had to be there that year. I think we did a...
Oh, I wouldn't have known you at that time. Yeah,
because we did.
I wouldn't have gone any gun things.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gone. Yeah, because
That's
no,
we're
I
hanging
didn't
out
even-
in the same
I
places.
don't even think I had shot a gun at that
okay,
point.
all right.
But I'm 30 years old, and I'm at a friend's house, and I'm looking in his pantry, and I see this box for a pistol, and I'm like, "Hey, what's this?" He said, "Oh, that's a gun. My son bought it, but I didn't want him to have it. You can have it if you want." I said, "Okay, sure, I'll take it." Took it. Sat in my closet for 2 years, and then I, for some reason, got this itch to learn the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I'm
Through having the gun.
Through having the gun, I'm like, hey, well, kind of separate, but I'm learning about that, and then I get to the Second Amendment, and it's basically saying, in the Constitution, that our right to keep and bear arms, it's not something granted to us by the government. It's something that is recognized by the government as being granted to us by God. And I thought that was just so profound how they wrote that. And so
God gave us guns.
Yeah. God gives us the right to have guns. Government just sees that and recognizes it. Right?
That's deep.
And so I start wanting to learn about this gun that I have in my closet, because I'm like, hey, I have this gun. I have the right by God to have it, but I don't know when I can use it. And so I'm just looking on the internet, looking on Google, and I'm watching these videos I'm learning about the laws, and I keep seeing these interviews with this guy, black guy, red polo shirt. Yeah. And he's being interviewed by, everybody from KXAN to like Fox News. And he's on there, and they're asking him about the law. Oh, when can you use deadly force? And he's on there like, you can use deadly force. Someone is in the commission of robbery, armed robbery, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault, rape, kidnapping, murder. I'm like, whoa. How does he know all this?
All right.
And where can you carry your gun? You can carry your gun from your home to your horse trailer, camper trailer,
trucker trailer, camper trailer.
Yeah, say it. Give me that spiel. Where you can carry your gun from your home to your.
Can you do it?
No, I don't even remember anymore.
There's like horse trailer, trucky trailer, but he's just like, and I'm like, whoa, this guy knows his stuff. Did he write the penal code? And so I'm seeing him in all these videos, and then I ordered 2 more guns off the internet, have them shipped to the FFL. I'm still waiting to pick them up. They hadn't arrived in shipment yet.
You shipped them
here? No, not to here. Because I hadn't met Michael yet.
Yeah, okay.
I'd just seen him on interviews. I had him shipped to Silencer Shop or something.
Oh, okay.
And so I was waiting to go pick him up. And in this time, I was kind of having, it was like a bad time with the girl I was dating. And I was all bummed out. And at the time, I was living way up north in Avery Ranch, kind of far from downtown. But I got this pull to just go downtown. Just go downtown and walk.
Yeah. You felt the call.
Yeah. And I get in my car, drive 25 miles or however far it is from Avery Ranch to downtown, just like on a Friday or Saturday night. And I'm just walking around, not even going into bars, but just walking. Just walking, no destination in mind, just walking. And then there I am crossing the street, and I see this guy, black guy, a red polo shirt. And I'm like, hey, you're the gun guy from TV. Because I couldn't remember his name. I couldn't remember his name.
He's a good guy.
I'm like, you're the gun guy from TV. He says, yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
So we start talking on the street, and we're talking for like an hour and a half, right? About all kinds of stuff. And I'm telling him, I'm probably all super gung-ho about how I'm getting into the Second Amendment, right? And how I just ordered these 2 guns. And, I'm sure you're sensing some of that.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, this guy's coming over to the side of the light. And by the end of the conversation, because I told you I was a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And you said,
Oh, God.
I need to get you on the radio show to talk about fitness and guns.
And we never talked about fitness.
We
To
always
this
talk
day,
about-
we've never talked about fitness to this day.
And so I came on that weekend, and we became,
Oh, you did the show that
ride or die.
Yeah.
Ever since
Ever
then.
since
That was
then.
7 years ago.
You remember the first show that I was on with Eli? You remember when Felicia basically walked out?
Oh yeah.
She almost walked out of the show. So I did the doc on you.
Right.
I posted it on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
My buddy Eli's a comedian out in LA. He sees it. He's like, hey dude, who's this guy? This guy seems like kind of fucking wild. I want to like go be on this show. And I said, I don't know why he'd bring a comedian on the show, because I didn't know you used to do Guns and Giggles at that point.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know you were a comedy fan. So I was like, I don't know, man. I mean, I was like, hit him up in the Twitter comments of the post. He hits him up. He says, I want to be on the show. Mind you, Eli's Twitter name at the time was DJ Cut a Bitch. So Mike responds and goes, yeah, come on the show. Eli flies out here. We Uber, and I was like, I guess I'll go with him. We Uber to the show. We come on the show. We're drinking these like big plastic.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, like like a quart of ice cream.
Yeah,
like
sure.
plastic little mini bucket of
Like a Vegas
this
Strip or a Bourbon
super
Street thing.
strong rum
Frozen drink.
Yeah. And so we start drinking them.
In the studio.
Oh yeah.
And this is when Felicia was still on the show, and she's like a bulldog, dude. You say one thing wrong to her, and she gets very upset, especially somebody like Eli. So she doesn't know Eli's a comic because Mike just introduces him as our buddy Eli.
Yeah.
So then Eli starts cracking jokes, and I don't know, what did he say that she I don't even remember.
I don't
He
remember.
made
It's too
like
long
a fat
ago.
joke or something. And then she started freaking out, and then we went to Bender afterward. And
she brought a friend.
She brought a friend,
And
and Eli
then
was
Eli-
like, "You are ugly."
Oh damn!
And she started crying and she
her
left.
face.
Yeah. No, this guy.
face.
Well,
She told her she looked like a Christmas tree.
You look like a Christmas tree.
It was awful. It was awful, needless to say.
So then Felicia's friend leaves. She calls this Uber and she just walks outside and
And
waits for it.
Felicia was pissed, like at everybody for a while. But I mean, she's always mad. So
This is the first time you did his show.
Yeah, the first time I did his show, Eli goes on this like
So Felicia never liked you then.
comedic tirade.
Yeah.
Like the whole show was like him and her arguing, and he had no real opinion on guns. He was like playing devil's advocate just for fun, and she
on
didn't.
YouTube?
And she thought he was serious.
Oh man,
because he did, So
she's like the Marjorie Taylor Greene of the show.
Oh man,
no, it was fun though. It was
So
fun. Felicia's, she's GOA national now.
What do you think about that? What do you think about
I
this
met her.
upcoming election, though? I want to
About
ask you
the
about
election?
that. Like, yeah, like
I think Joe wins. I think they run a can of soup in the can.
Joe
of soup
Biden's going to
wins.
win.
Well,
Right.
look, there's some debate about whether Joe is going to drop out or not. You seen this?
RFK, baby.
I don't think he's going to make it. If he wins, I don't think he's going to make it another 4 years.
There's all this press about him dropping out. Like he's going to make some announcement and Newsom's going to, because you see Newsom's coming up in the ranks. People know something that we don't know, like in the live markets. You seen this?
Right. Yeah.
Gavin Newsom's got a better chance of winning president in the live markets right now than Ron DeSantis. Tell me why. Somebody knows something. So I don't know. There's this rumor Joe might have to drop out.
You think they're gonna put Kamala in or something?
No, dude, no, he won't run. I'm saying like Kamala will run. They'll run her.
That's
or
what
whatever.
I'm saying.
They'll run her, but
Yeah,
no,
as
like,
vice president.
But
No. If he
the
drops,
mantle will be placed on Gavin Newsom apparently.
Oh, and she'll be the vice president.
Not fuck her. Nobody likes her, man.
She's
on her own.
No,
if she's gonna lose.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think she's really unlikable.
No, nobody likes her. They're cutting her loose. They cut her loose a year ago. Like she's on her third chief of staff or something. Nobody likes her. It's over. She can't raise money.
She just slept her way to the top, essentially. Right?
I don't know what her deal
She
was.
womaned her way to the top.
Yeah, exactly. They thought she'd lock up something. I don't know, but
Well, she slept with the mayor of San Francisco, right? That was her.
That's how she got her DA
That's her
position and all that
claim
stuff.
to fame.
Yeah, well,
I did not say that.
That's the Willie Brown thing.
Yeah.
You probably met Willie Brown. You know Willie Brown?
I've heard of. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Look, that's all I know. All I know is if Joe lives and
Right.
stays in,
Right.
he'll probably win.
Okay. All right.
And I mean,
But
I
you
hate to
don't
say
you don't
it.
think Trump has a chance?
I think Trump has a chance, but like he couldn't lock it up last time.
Right.
Why would he lock it up this
Yeah.
time?
Well, there's some debate that could be had there that we shouldn't do because we're on YouTube.
Oh.
But there's some questions about.
Well, okay. Whatever those questions are about whatever those mysterious things are, why would they have gotten any better 4 years later?
And that I would agree with, and
You know
that's
what I'm
why I
saying?
think you're probably right.
You think they're actually going to convict him?
Well, no, I think convicting him probably helps him win.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're so stupid to
Right.
actually try to convict this man.
It's not who votes that counts. It's who counts the vote.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Just
but
facts.
Yeah.
Just facts.
Let's not touch too hard on that for
I
the
would
first
say-
episode.
Hey,
here.
that's just a quote.
Yeah. Well, look, for many reasons, you'll probably get this episode taken down.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I'm
maybe
sorry
we're
about that.
SOL.
Yeah, my bad.
regardless, we're
What
gonna
a-
put it on Rumble and Band
What
too.
a guest
though.
to choose today, but I think look, you see, like, oh, they found cocaine in the cubby in the
In the
you
White
know,
House,
That's
yeah.
interesting, but it feels to me like they're peppering these little things that like might help Joe just fall down the stairs or something.
well, dude,
Right.
You know,
I see what you're saying.
Fall
Yeah.
up the stairs.
fall upstairs.
How do you think stuff like that affects the public perception? There's a bag of cocaine found at the White House. I mean, I don't care at all, but I'm just saying, how does the average suburban housewife view that? Are they like, oh no?
It feels to me like like people are starting to get the idea on the Hunter thing, right? Because he just did his deal, and everybody feels pretty raw about his deal. But you're asking, like, is that real? Does anyone even think about that?
Does anybody even care? Because I don't give a shit at all.
Trump would say, well, they had to do something to Hunter so they come after him, so they can finally do him. You know, they had to do like a slap on the wrist or something for Hunter so they can convict him later. I don't think it's a Trump thing. I think it's a Biden thing. I think they're trying to see if people care. To your point, and if they care, maybe that's a way they can take Biden out. Democrats, I mean, this is a Democrat. This is on Democrat on Democrat violence. You know,
What do you think about this case that the Fifth Circuit just heard that's actually before the Supreme Court in reference to domestic violence or something like that?
that's my favorite case in the Fifth Circuit.
Why do you say that?
because when people try to regulate guns, they go, now domestic abusers can get guns. And then in the Fifth Circuit's like, yeah, actually Bruin, domestic abusers.
But some people are saying that there's a chance that the Supreme Court will overturn that. You think
Did the Supreme Court grant cert?
Yes.
They did grant cert?
Yes.
You're sure?
I believe so.
Okay, that's very interesting. Then that means that they probably want.
Yes, they're going to hear the case. Yes.
Well, then you're right. They're probably going to correct it. I know it's not going to be in our favor.
And that's what someone's saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you need 4.
Well, then why do you say that? Because what if they grant certain? In my case, my bump stock
Can
case, why would you say they would go against this?
Mike,
you want to use?
Huh?
Can you explain this in a way that the layman would understand? Because sometimes I even get lost in the legal mumbo jumbo. Sometimes
I'll give my theory. My theory is
explain the case. The case. What's the case about?
Well, give me the name of the case again. What's the last name of that guy? Yeah, that guy.
Ramini.
Yeah, Ramini or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole point is, it's a Bruin analysis, and it means like, well, is it consistent with the tradition of regulation of guns in this country to take guns away from domestic abusers?
Right.
Fifth
Because
Circuit,
what did this guy do?
well, like let's just stipulate he's a domestic abuser.
Correct.
He did X and Y bad things.
He was a bad guy that did bad
dude.
things, and then he also
and she didn't want him to have his gun. I mean, she had reason to try to get his gun away, right? Like red flag style.
So he also did something to his spouse or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
he's not a good guy. But the Fifth Circuit, out of nowhere, applies just like the libs were saying. They actually apply Bruin straight.
But at first, the Fifth Circuit was like, okay, this guy's wrong. You're
saying the first panel opinion?
Right. And then they turned around and they changed their mind because of Bruin.
Yeah.
They went back and they looked at the case again.
When they ultimately apply Bruin, they're like, well, there's no history of regulating domestic abusers having guns in this country, so guess he can have guns, which is an amazing outcome. Incredible. So badass, because all of the liberals are always saying this is the worst thing that's going to happen, and they don't believe it, but then it does happen. So I think it's awesome.
It just means that, same thing, a convicted felon, once you paid your debts to society, once you've done whatever the court has asked you to do, you've gone to jail, you've done whatever, then you should eventually get your rights back. It shouldn't be forever. Nothing should be forever.
My boy Denio, he's like, well, if you commit an axe murder and you finally walk out of prison, you can go to Walmart and buy an axe the next day.
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Denio. But your point is,
I'm clipping that.
Yeah. Benjamin Denio. So if the Supreme Court grants cert, though, think about it. It's like Thomas and all these like frogs are happy with that crazy Fifth Circuit decision. Why would they want to grant cert on that?
You think they're going to overturn it?
You needed 4 to grant cert who want to overturn it, probably.
Now, can you guys give another again? Sorry, to slow things down, but what's cert?
Okay, what's the word in Latin? Certiorari.
Yeah.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
The Supreme Court you petition the Supreme Court. Everybody in America is like, well, you know what? I'm going to the Supreme Court. Nuh-uh. Not if the Supreme Court doesn't want to have you.
Right.
The Supreme Court,
whether they accept the case or not.
They have to decide whether they're going to hear your case or not. You petition them to hear your case.
So they have a conference, and they decide whether or not they're going to accept your petition to actually hear the case. They're going to grant certiorari.
And there's all this like shadow stuff that happens even before then.
So it's very similar to the black box ATF situation, where you send something off, and they're determining what's going to happen.
They'll give you an up or down. They give everybody an up or down.
Right.
But they won't. There won't be an opinion about why they grant cert or why they don't, and usually they don't.
Oh, so it's even more.
But here's where I'm stuck at. You're saying that if they granted cert for Ramini or whatever his name is, then that's gonna turn. It's gonna be negative against us. What if they grant cert in my case? Do you think that's gonna be negative against us as well?
I think that's a different ballgame.
Why?
Well, you got a circuit split in your case, right? Like, haven't bump stocks been banned in other places?
Right. Yes.
So you got a split. So the Supreme Court might have to act because of the split.
Okay.
To define what state.
And the fact that the government's requesting them to.
But Mike, I think you won. I think the Supreme Court stays away from bump stocks. I think you won on that one. So it's a win if they don't grant cert on yours.
But only for the Fifth Circuit.
But it's only
area,
for the Fifth
right?
Circuit.
Yeah, which
Texas,
is what,
Louisiana, Mississippi.
But that's what the Roberts Court's going to do, man. They don't want this to. You know what I mean? Like You
think they're gonna deny it?
I think they'll deny your cert. Yeah. But I mean, that's just me playing fantasy football or whatever. What do I know?
But what if they? Okay, you think what if they accept it? What if they say, okay, we're going to hear this?
Well,
case.
what's the real question of law in your case besides? Because it's not about bump stock. It's not about the accept. What's the question of law?
Can ATF create law? It's all about
and it's about
deference.
It's
Chevron
about
deference, right?
Yeah, if they want to,
right?
If
it's not about bump stocks.
If Thomas and all them want to finally dunk on ATF,
it's about going after these regulatory agencies and say, hey, we need to rein them in.
I think it'd be that. You know, but would they choose bump stocks to be the Chevron case? No, they'd probably want to choose a more banal case to be
something
the Chevron case.
not so controversial.
Yeah,
EPA, right? West Virginia.
They've already done that though.
They did that.
They did that.
They would pick. I just think they wouldn't pick bump stocks. Bump stocks is such a strange curiosity. I think that they will leave it alone in the Fifth Circuit, and this will be our little kingdom, our petty kingdom, where we sell Ronies and Flux Raiders and.
That'd be
in Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi.
Yeah, it's wild out here in Mississippi.
Dude, Fifth Circuit's a bunch of freaks.
And the court needs to do that for court politics because everyone's pissed at the Roberts Court right now, right? They're constantly doing this ProPublica stuff.
Right.
Thomas.
I see what you're saying.
So
like
Roberts has to contain these public
like,
opinions.
Public-facing image.
crazy.
He's not just going to be like, yeah, fuck bump stocks, hell yeah. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
But you know what we say in Texas? Yeah, fuck yeah, bump stocks, hell yeah.
That's
that the guy's name, I looked it up. It was Rahimi. Is that what we were saying?
Yeah, Rahimi.
Just wanted to clarify that we were correct because this is the most trusted gun news outlet.
Rahimi.
I think you did a crazy thing though, Mike. Like I love that you won that case and you won it basically as one man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love what you're doing out here, man.
But you get the same thing though, don't you?
I try to do what you're doing.
Nah, I don't even play games.
In my mind, I'm trying to do what you're doing.
You get the same thing.
You run a real business. You run real cases. I run a fake business.
No. Oh, no. No.
And I lose cases.
No.
You know what I'm saying? The first case I ever won was just like a week ago.
Okay.
You know, I've been in federal court for 10 years. I never won anything.
You won one case.
This is the only case I ever won.
Really?
Well, I was gonna say,
but you get the same thing. You're walking down the street, people say, "Hey, aren't you Cody Wilson?" You don't get that.
Sometimes. Usually like some old guy at dinner or something. But
well, Michael's fucking plasters his face all over every news outlet there is. So that's why people see him all the time, and that's not a bad thing at all.
Man,
when we went to InfoWars, and Jones is we walk in, and Jones is like, Michael. He's like, Michael, this guy, he can't stop winning. I love it. He keeps winning. and I'm sitting there, and I'm just in the little waiting room, like, you know, kind of not nervous. I'm like, oh god, like I got to take some pictures and shit, and yada yada yada. And then he just comes out, and the dude's like, more in Michael's corner than anybody I've ever fucking seen.
For real, dude. Yeah. No, you are, because you pick winning battles.
Winners win, dude.
You know? Yeah, you've got
Shooters shoot and winners win.
There's a certain momentum. But it's also that like you kind of know. It's like Art of War, man. You really know when to pick a good one.
Yeah, you're like the Sun Tzu of Austin.
Hell yeah, for real. And you can't say that that's a fluke because every year I've known you, you're picking the right battle, the right fight, and you're usually winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're winning against liberals too. Like it's not even like you're not even in like a county outside of Travis County where you're. It's like it's even more the deck is stacked. The odds are stacked against you even more so than what people even realize. Especially winning the campus carry thing and the what was the other lawsuit you won against
City of Austin?
Yeah, what was the other one?
So gun owners can carry in city buildings.
Yeah.
Were you doing COVID stuff too?
COVID?
Did you do any COVID era?
Stayed open.
No, we stayed open while they tried to
had like 5.
You fought them on that.
City officials coming,
and you won on that, by the way.
Yeah, well.
And we also brought to light all this when during COVID. Is this what we're kind of getting at here? Is that
like the bars and stuff?
The bars and all that. You can technically carry in a lot of bars now because they changed their license.
Well, I called it the golden years. It was like it's like April, May 2020 to like April, May 2023 because now TBC's making them flip back now.
So there was a period of time during COVID you could carry your gun into a bar.
Restaurants. That's amazing.
Yeah, as a restaurant, man, you can take your guns in there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We'll look back and know that was it. That
golden years.
That was as good as it ever got.
That was the peak.
Oh, yeah. And it worked.
It was a golden age.
The golden years.
Damn, Mike. See, again, now you don't want to. It's interesting that you don't. You know, you're modest, sufficiently modest, but you don't really feel that way. You don't see that you're winning.
No.
Because I can see you're winning.
Yeah, well, but what's the long-term battle here? You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah. What was your what is your goal? What is your ideal scenario?
I think to sit back and say, okay, man, we made a difference. We made a change. You know, because some people told me. I remember when I was running for office here in Austin, and I was actually running as a Democrat
for sheriff, right?
For constable. So and I remember the leaders of the Democratic Party saying to me, "Why are you here? We don't want you here."
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what would you expect?
They're like, you need to leave. We don't. No one wants you here. So why are you even here?
They didn't want a gay black man.
Yeah. You seem
so I was like, okay.
Be,
So I was like,
you should have been. Normally, would have been the poster child for that.
So I said, hey, you know what? I'll just stand outside the gate then. I'll stand outside the gate and throw rocks.
Yeah, I remember that, dude. And then they try to bury you.
Oh, yeah.
Man. But you can see now, right, how you would have been so much less effective if you had if you had office.
Right.
I mean, maybe you don't feel that way.
Right. You can't do as much.
Yeah. You would have just been absorbed in the machine, dude. And now you're out here like, pot shots.
You can get more done this way.
You're blowing up trains.
You really can. You get more done this way.
Blowing up trains.
He's sabotaging the whole edifice, man. You got like you won the bump stock thing. That's crazy to me.
Destroying the panopticon.
He defeated President Trump. If you really lay it out, it's like the one.
And that's one thing that no one wants to talk about. Right?
President Trump did. Mike Cargill stopped.
That he still defends today.
Yeah, of course he defends.
He still defends it today.
Of course he defends it.
He does because at that CNN town hall,
he still defends it.
He said, "Yeah."
So I mean, that was you. You got to feel like you did something, man. Anyway,
that was because of you, because you walked in the door. You walked in the door 12 years, 10, 12 years ago.
A long time ago.
And said, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. And I was like, fuck, he's right. we need to do all that. We got to do all that. Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, there you go.
Well, dude, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on and being the first guest on the first actual podcast episode version of the show from the shop
at Central Texas Gunworks.
Thank you, guys. Is this going to be on all major podcasting platforms?
So it'll be on Band. It's going to be on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, every single podcast app that exists.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
Hey, as always, more guns equals less crime. You go out there and you buy yourself a gun. You've been listening to Come and Talk It with Michael Cargill. Thanks for tuning in to Come and Talk It. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And listen to the show every Wednesday at 7 p.m.